Hello everyone, I'm Alicia. For this video I'm going to show you how to make these beaded beads. I've had these hand painted beads right here for a very long time, and I always wanted some really cool beaded beads to go along with them. So I had these colors in the 80C beads, so I just took and did the same colors in my beaded beads that I already had in these painted beads. And I had a better looking clasp to go along with this bracelet that matched these metallic C beads right here, but it was magnetic clasp, and I didn't think it would hold up because this bracelet is so heavy, so I used a lobster claw because it was more secure. And something else I also wanted to share with you guys, these beaded beads are so chunky, I had to make my bracelet 3/4 inch to an inch larger because they are so big. So pay attention to that when you're making the bracelet. Make sure that you wrap it around your wrist to make sure that the size is just right, because I had to make mine a little bit bigger. And I've also noticed that with other bracelets that I've done that were really chunky, I had to go up in the size. You can also use these beaded beads for earrings. Here's an earring I did, and I will be making the matching bead to this one in the video. You can use these in necklaces too. And also, because they have a very nice size hole, you can string these beaded beads onto a cord, like a 1mm leather cord. And something else I also want to tell you guys about is I've always asked about how I come up with my own designs. Whenever I'm designing something, I always experiment with monofilament first, because it is really cheap. So what I'll do is I'll take monofilament and I'll make a measurement like 3 feet or something, and I'll design whatever I'm designing and figure out how much string it takes. And if I think that the design would be better with fireline, I will find out how much I need with the monofilament, and then I'll cut that length in fireline, and then I'll try the design in fireline. So what I did was I made these in monofilament, and the design turned out really well, and I thought, well, this would be easier to do if I had a needle and thread. So I then cut my fireline, and I made a beaded bead with the fireline. But it did not turn out. It looks terrible. See how it's not keeping its shape, and this one looks perfect? And not just that it's not keeping its shape, but look at the thread. You can really see the thread, and it just looks so bad. So I will be making these beaded beads with monofilament because they turn out a lot nicer. And something I've always noticed, that when I'm using monofilament, if I'm making a 3D piece like this that I need to keep its shape, the monofilament always works best for doing stuff like that. So I will be using monofilament to make these. And something else I also wanted to tell you guys is, if you make half a beaded bead, you could use it as a bead cap. So can you imagine half of that right there as a bead cap? It's really cool. I love it. And I think that's all I wanted to tell you, so let's get started. Here is the list of materials you will need to make one bead. So if you want to make more than one, you're going to multiply the materials I'm giving you by however many beads you want to make. You're going to need 30 inches of 8-pound monofilament. 10 pound is too big, 8 is just the right size. You're also going to need 6 4mm round beads, 24 8/0 seed beads, 18 10/0 seed beads. Don't use 11, they are too small. 10 is just the right size for this beaded bead. And you're also going to need a pair of fine point tweezers. These are great for getting us out of those tricky places, and also when we're tying our knots. I went ahead and cut my 30 inches of 8-pound monofilament, and I straightened it out by pulling it fast between my fingers, which heatens it up and straightens it out like a hair iron. And I also marked the end of my monofilament with a permanent marker. And now I'm going to pick up 6 8/0 seed beads and slide them down, just like this. Slide them down right here, and now I'm going to wrap this around my finger, and I'm going to go back through them into a circle shape. So back through all 6 of them, just like this, till we have this circle. Now I'm going to measure my tail and get it at 6 inches from the tip of my tail to where I'm at now. And right there is my 6 inches. So what I'm going to do is tie a surgeon's knot right here. So I'm going to go over this string and under one time, pull it down, over and under twice, 1, 2, and pull it down right here and pull it nice and tight. And if you have to straighten out your beads, go ahead. Okay, my beads are straightened out into a circle, and now I'm ready to go on. So this 6-inch tail I'm going to put into my left hand. I'm going to take my working string, and I have to pass through one of these beads. So this string here, my working string, is going in this direction. So I'm going to pass through this bead right here. And now I'm ready to add my 10. So now I'm going to be putting 10OC beads around the outer edges of my 8OC beads. So I'm going to pick up one 10O at a time, and right here is where my string is exiting out of. So I'm going to go through this bead and through the one beside it, just like this. So now I'm already in position to add my next 10OC bead. So pick up one 10O, and again I'm going to go through this one again that I'm exiting in a circle, and through the next one, just like this, and pull it through. Make sure you pull it tight so that these are stacked right on top of the 8s. Now that I'm right here, I'm going to do it again. 110, and go through this bead and through the next. Just like this. Pull it through and make sure that it's stacked. Pull it tight. And now for the next one. Another 10O through this bead and through the next one. We're now in position to add another one. So we have 4 done here. This is what it looks like. Hold it nice and tight between your fingers. Pick up another 10. Exiting out of here, I'm going to add another one. So go through this bead and through the next one. Just like this. And pull it tight. So we have 5, and now we have to do the last one. So I'm going to pull this over to make sure that knot is out of my way so I could pass through it again. So pick up my last C bead here and go through this one. No. Oops. My bracelet got caught on it. Go through this one. Pull it through. Tight. Now I have to go through this next seed bead beside it, the 8. And right here my tweezers are going to come in handy, just like this. Pull both the strings tight. Now that I'm exiting right here, I have to take and step up. So I have to go through this 10OC bead. So you can see I'm exiting out of 8 and I'm curving around and going through the 10. Now we're ready to add our next row, and this is what it should look like. So this next part is really easy. I'm just going to be adding the 8s in between the 10OC beads. So pick up one 8, go through this 10O. We're just going to fill that gap, turn it slightly, pick up another 8, and go through this 10O. Just like this. Pick up another 8, go through the next one, pick up another 8, through the next one here, another 8, and through this one. We have to add one more. Pick up one, go through this 10 and out through the 8. Just like this. So this is what yours should look like, and we have the tail right here on one side and our working string is on the other. So I'm going to make sure that it cups this way so my tail is facing out in that direction. So pull it tight and it'll start to get this little cupping shape like a bead cap. Just like this. Make sure it stays tight because we need this shape. Pull it tight. So now I'm going to add, if you look here, right here is where we're at this part. Now I'm going to add these 10 OC beads on top of the 8s, so then we can put in the 4mm round beads. So make sure that you keep this tight. Okay, now I'm ready to add the 10s, which is going to be a little trickier. So pick up one 10, and right here I'm exiting out of this bead. I'm going to go back around through the 8, the same 8 that I'm exiting, through this 10 beside it, and out through the next 8. So pull it, and this is what it looks like. This is the inside of the bead, and this is the outside. It's getting loose on me, so I need to tighten it up. So what I'm going to do is grab this bead here, pull it, and pull my working tail at the same time. And that is going to tighten it up. Okay? So now that it's tight again, I'm going to pick up my next bead, my next 10-0, just like this, and I have to go back through this 8. So I'm going to take my fingernail and push it away so I can go through it. I'm going through the 8 and the 10. And now I have to get in position, so I have to go through this next 8 over here. Just like this. And pull it through. Pull it tight. And it looks really good. So I have to pick up another bead. And I have to go back through this 8 in a circle. And also through the 10 beside it. And I have to go through the next 8 to get in position to add my next C bead. So push this one out. Fingernails really come in handy for this. Go through it. Pull it through and pull it tight. This is the inside of the bead, this is the outside. Pick up another bead, another 10. Go through this 8 again in a circle and through the 10 beside it. Pull it through. It's stacked on top. Now I have to go through the next 8 and get in position to add another bead. Just like this. Pull it tight. Now I have 4 of these and I need 2 more. I need a total of 6. So I picked up another bead and I'm going to go through this 8 again and through the 10. And now I have to go through this last 8 right here because I already have 5 of these. Through this 8. Pick up another 10. Go back through the same 8. Just like this. Pull it tight. And now what I have to do is I have to go a little bit further, because if I were to go up right now and go back through this, it would pull strange and the bead wouldn't sit right. So exiting out of this bead, I just flipped it so you can see the outside now. I'm going to go through this 10, So I might have to take my fingernail and push it out through this 10. And then through the 8 beside it. So I got through the 10, pull it through, and now I have to go through the 8, so push the beads away with your nails and go through the 8. It might help if I fold this bead down that's sticking up and go through the 8. Okay. So now that I'm through the 8, I'm going to pull it tight, and this is what the outside of your bead should look like. You should have these 6 points. And this is the inside of our bead. So I'm exiting out of this 8, pull it tight, and now I have to go up through this 10 right here. And now I'm in position to add my 4mm bead. So I'm just going to pick up one 4mm, exiting here. I'm going to go through this one and fill in this gap. Pick up another, go through this next one, turn it, pick up another, go through this one, pick up another, and go through this hole, another one, through this tunnel, and pick up another. My last 4mm, and I'm gonna go through this tunnel right here. And pull through. Pull it tight and push it into a cup shape. Pull it as tight as you can. So we need it to be round. So once it looks like this, which this is the top of my bead, and this is the inside, we're ready to do the other half. But right here, if you want bead caps, you can stop and just tie your knots in this outer edge with the 4mm rounds, and there's your bead cap. So it's really cool as a bead cap or a beaded bead, whatever you want. So now we're ready to add another row, and we're going to start tapering this down and making it look like this side. So this is what yours should look like. So now I'm going to go back to picking up the 8OC beads. So make sure this is tight. Okay. I'm going to pick up 1/8, slide it down, and I have to go back through this 10. So I'm going to bend it and get this 10 to pop out and go through it. Okay, I'm going to use my tweezers to push through the rest of the way. Pull it through. So this has already loosened up on me, so I'm just going to grab this bead with my fingernail and pull my working string to tighten it up, and it's tight again. So right here I am, and now I have to get in position to add my next bead. So I have to go through this 4mm bead and also through the next 10, because that's where I'm going to be putting my 8 at. So pull that through, pull it tight, pick up the next 8, and pinch this so this bead pops out, and go through it. Pull the string, go through the next 4mm, and then through the next 10 seed bead. Pick up another 8, go through through the 10, just like this, pull it, go through this 4, and then through this 10, and now we're ready to add another 8/0. So this is what mine looks like. This is the inside of my bead. So pick up one, pinch this again so you can pass through, pull it through this 4mm bead, and then through the 10, pick up an 8, pinch this again through the 10, then through this 4, and my last 10 bead right here. So I already have 5 points, and I'm gonna do my 6th point in my final for this row. So through this bead, pick up one of these, and through it again. So right here, I'm going to, instead of going this way like I did earlier, going through this bead, this one, and then curving and going back through that, it's going to be too hard because there's a lot of thread going through this one bead. So what I'm going to have to do is, I'm exiting out of this one, I'm just going to have to curve back around right here where I'm at, because it's going to be too hard to go through that 10 bead because there's like 3 or 4 strings in it already. So right now, this is where we're at, and we have to pick up these 10 beads. This is my last row of 10s. So pick up one, go through this 8, just like this. Pick up another, through this 8, another, this 8, another one. Just filling the gaps in, and we're going to pull this tight, and it's going to taper down for us. Here's my last one. Go through this 8. So I'm exiting out of this 8, and I'm going to go through this next bead, the first one that we added, the 10. So now what I have to do is pull this really tight until it tapers. And it also helps if you push all the 8s and the 10s into the middle. Push it down into the center and pull this string tight. So it looks like this. So now I'm going to put 8/0 beads on top of the 10/0s. So right there, I'm exiting out of that 10. I'm going to pick up one 8. And I'm going to go back through this 10. So lift it up and go back through it, out through the 8 beside it. Pull it through. It did loosen up a little bit, so I'm going to pull this 8 up and pull my working string at the same time to tighten it. And then I'm going to go through this 10 because I need to be exiting out of there to add my next 8. So lift it up and go through just like this. Pick up an 8, go back around through this 10, and if you can, go through the 8 beside it. Through the 8. Now I have to go through this 10. Pull it tight, pick up an 8. I'm going to stack it on top of this one. Go through the 10 and through the 8, through the next 10, pick up another 8 and stack it on top of this one by going back through that same 10. And go through the 8, just like this, pull it tight, and through the next 10 seed bead. Pick up another 8, go through this 10 and stack it on top. I'm also going through the 8 beside that 10, and now I have to go through this 10 and put my 8 seed bead on top of this 10 seed bead. So pick up my last bead. Right here it is. I'm going through this 10. So just like this, pull it tight, and you have these little points sticking out. And all I'm going to do, axing out of this 10, I'm going to go up through this 8, and then I'm going to go all through these 8s, through all of them. Okay, just like this, and you can see it starting to close up when you pull it through these 2 here, and then back through my first one to close it into a complete circle. Now pull it tight, and here's your beaded bead. Now you can't just stop with one lap around. Here you have to go around twice, because I've tried pulling it like this and then doing knots, but this just keeps wanting to open, and then your knot is not in the right spot, and you have all these gaps, so you have to go around twice. So this one is my first bead, so if you look you could see that there's one thread there. So I'm going to go around twice. There's 2 beads, 2 more, and through these 2. I can still see that there's one string here, so I'm going to go through this one, and then right there I have 2 strings in that gap. So pull it tight, and now we are ready to tie our 1/2 inch knots in between the 8 seed beads. So here is what our beaded bead looks like. So right in here I'm going to tie a 1/2 inch knot. So we have these threads that are going all around the top, and I'm going to take the end of my string, put it underneath, and push it out through this hole. Now if you can't get it pushed out through the hole, just take your tweezers and pull it through. So just like this, I'm making a loop, and I'm going to go through this loop 2 times. And then pull this knot down right here. Pull it tight. Now I'm going to go through this next seed bead, just like this. Pull the string. I'm going to take the end of my string again, go through this gap right here, and out through the top. Make a loop again, and go through this loop twice. Pull it down, just like this, and go through the next bead. So keep going around this, tying 1/2 inch beads. What I do is, or 1/2 inch knots, I said beads. Put a knot between each of these beads, and then when you get back over here, go through this bead. So you'll be exiting out right here, and then take your string, and you're going to need your tweezers to do this. Put your tweezers inside this hole, push this bead out, go through this bead with your string, then go through all these right here, and go through like 4 or 5 of them and cut it, just so your thread or your string is tucked in, and it won't come undone. And do the same exact thing that we did to this side to this side. Tie your knots all in between here. Go down one side, follow this thread path, go through this bead, go through like 4 or 5 of them, and cut your knot. Cut your thread. Oh boy, I can't talk. This is it. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Please like this video, leave me a comment, subscribe if you want to see more videos, and like me on Facebook. And don't forget to share pictures of the things you made from my videos on my Facebook page. Thanks for watching.